Okay, welcome back. Here's the second in our series of videos. The first one was about installing Audacity. If you haven't done that yet, please do it right away. And the second one is about finding the course resources and downloading them to your computer. This is very, very important. And the reason this is so important is that almost all of the tracks you're going to be using for your Audacity hands-on projects, you pull the tracks from these course resources. So I want to show you what to do. I'm here on our course homepage, and I'm going to navigate over to Unit 1. Now, there's not a lot going on in Unit 1. If you haven't started yet, you really only need to do one thing in Unit 1, and that's find your course resources. So click the Launch button. And because it always runs a little slow, it's going to be slow. Just that's what it does. We have to wait on it. And it takes us to Unit 1 Course Overview. I want you to scroll down to 1.04. And here in 1.04, the unit is called Download Resources and Zip Assignments. The second module down is called Learn, Download Resources. Go ahead and click that. And I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit because I want you to be able to see everything that's going to happen here. When you get to the Download Resources page, the first thing you're going to see is this link here on the word Here. It says click here to download the resources. Now, it tells you different browsers. I have not found anything different in any of the browsers. Okay, so don't worry about that. Just click here. That'll take you to a new web page. It tells you you're leaving your course content. You want to do that because this is going to be basically the Dropbox where they're installing our stuff. Click on the link, and here we are. Now, this is the Audacity 1.3 version. If you watch the original, the first video where I talked about downloading and installing Audacity, you don't want to use that version if at all possible because it's old. You want to use the newest version. Skip that because you already went through video 1 and downloaded Audacity, and come on down to TCH026 Course Resource Files. I'd like you to click that, and you're going to notice that it starts downloading a zip file. Wherever your downloads end up, that's where it's going to go. If you're using Chrome like me, the downloads typically end up in the bottom here, which I love. That's why I like Chrome. If you're using another browser, they could automatically bump to your download folder. But you're going to be looking for TCH026. Click the zip folder when it's done, and it will unzip or uncompress. And you're going to see that you have 5 different folders here. Now, I want to explain these folders to you. Section 1 in the resources corresponds to Unit 2 in the class, which is a little confusing. I'd have set it up differently, but I didn't set these up. So as you're working in the course, when you're working in Unit 2, anything you're going to need comes from Section 1. When you're working in Unit 3, anything you're going to need comes from Section 2. Because Unit 1 is all just that stuff, the stuff you need, the course overview, it doesn't have any section files. So you're going to see that there are 5 sections, and there are 6 units in the course. That's because the section number is always one number behind the unit that it works for. So Section 1 is Unit 2, Section 2 is Unit 3, Section 3 is Unit 4, Section 4 is Unit 5, and Section 5 is Unit 6. I don't, however, recommend that you change these titles. If you wanted to change it to something like Section 1-U2, you could do that, but the problem is that in the class, if you're doing any reading, they'll reference them by their section numbers, so leave them the way they are. All right, click on Section 1, hold down the Shift key, and click Section 5. That highlights all the folders for you. And this is the really important part. A lot of students are forgetting to do this, and they're ending up with temp folders instead of the actual material. Right-click, copy. Now, navigate over to wherever you have a file for audio engineering. If you haven't set one up yet, go ahead. On my desktop, I keep a generic file called Course Files, and you can see every class I teach has a different folder. This helps me organize better, and being organized is a super, super important part of school, as you know by now. If you have not yet, go ahead and create yourself an audio engineering folder. If you're on a Windows machine, you can right-click, and tell it New Folder. If you're on a Mac, it's a little different, but hopefully you've got your Mac figured out by now and you know how to create a new folder. So create a folder called Audio Engineering, and within Audio Engineering, I'd like you to create a second folder called Course Resources. That way you know where they are. And again, right-click, New Folder. It'll pull this up and name that Course Resources. I'm not going to name my Course Resources because, obviously, I don't want 2 copies of the Course Resources. Let me delete that folder real quick. So you created your folder called Course Resources. You're going to open it up, and you are going to right-click, paste. Now, I'm not going to paste because what's going to happen is it would repaste all of those folders, and I already have them there, and I don't want to freak out my computer. But once you hit paste, it'll paste all of the subfolders for sections 1 through 5. Those are your course resources. If you open them up, let's just open up section 1. You'll see that you've got a file in here called remove noise. In the section 1 assignment videos, I'll show you what you're going to do with this and how you're going to import it, but you'll be using this file, this track, in Audacity for part of your assignment. Once you've done that, you have your course resources. So that way you'll go to Audio Engineering, Course Resources, and you'll be able to find your section files. These are very important. Don't neglect this step because you're going to use them for every single project. Great work. Now it's time to move on to zipping files. You may think you know how to zip files, but you don't. Not for this class because you got to have 2 parts for every assignment, so don't skip video 3.